So we're going into every topic. I told y'all, I'm not holding it back. We're just going to talk the blatant truth, right? So different forms of sexual perversion, sex as a sport, interracial marriage, wasting seed of all forms. So we got to get into this, wasting seed. You know, I'm sure many fellas who are watching this right now, when you've laid with a woman, you pulled out, or you wore a condom, or whatever the case may be. You took the morning after pill. Even the A word that I brought up earlier, right? Where the woman, you know, for lack of better terms, loses her child, you know, so called. All that is wasting seed of all forms, right? Wasting seed. That is actually a sin in the Most High's eyes, because a man's seed is very important. A man's seed is very powerful. That's why there's benefits to sexual fasting, because you're keeping that life force inside of you. And you use it when the Most High leads you to use it as far as reproducing, right? But even when a man releases, he can feel the difference spiritually. He can feel, you know, his spirit come down a little bit. There still is a presence with the Most High, a relationship with the Most High, but you feel almost like that drained feeling, or just that feeling of, I've released and something came out of me. And I'm going to read a verse that actually supports that, right? But we got to keep in mind that the seed gives life. The seed of man gives life. Everything that has life has seed, right? Even fruits, trees, all these different things. Seed is very important, and the man carries the seed, so he carries life inside of him. That's why when a man releases, it's different than a woman. I'm just keeping it real. It takes more out of us because that creates life. And because it's so important, the Most High doesn't want us to waste that. He doesn't want us to waste that. And it's actually a sin to do so. But again, how we've been programmed, how would we know, right? We think everything is okay. Oh, this is just natural, you know? I'm having sex and hey, I have an urge, so God understands. No, we got to understand that if a man has a wife, it's about focusing on the purpose of that. It's about creating family. It's about having his legacy as a righteous man be able to abound, right? Him to bring righteous seed into the earth, raise those children up the right way from when they're young. Have a woman, a wife that is of marriage material, of a very high virtue, a very high character. Read Proverbs 31. A man also should have a vision that he's led by, that the Most High gave him, and is a level of work he's trying to accomplish in life with the right helpmeet by his side that is supporting and helping him. Because the woman was designed for the man. So if you ask me, the right way to have it done is he's building something from the ground up that the Most High has given him. It could be a ministry. It could be whatever type of work the Most High has him do. And essentially, the woman will be working for him, not in Babylon. Now, we all are in Babylon. We're all in the world as it is today. So we all have jobs. We all have bills. We all have things to do. But essentially, the goal should be to work to a point where your woman can come off the job, right? And you provide her food and raiment, which is her clothing, right? You provide for her. You have a house that she can live in with you, right? And there's enough resources to be able to provide for her and the family and yourself, right? All of y'all together as a family, essentially. And the work that she does do, because she does work. It's not like the woman just sits home and just kicks her feet up. The work she does do is for the purpose that the Most High gave you. If she was given those 40 to 60 hours per week to the purpose that God gave you, right, and can be completely dedicated to that, how much more effective would you be as a man, right? How much more can be poured into the children, because both can be present for them, right? So I want to keep that, I want to bring that to the forefront, that as men of God, we have to be men of purpose, men that are looking forward to the responsibility that the Most High has given us, and trusting his protection, his favor over our family, over our lives. When we are obedient to him in all the ways I'm talking about, right? Casting out those evil spirits, being obedient in sex and having it reverence and worship the Most High, instead of worshiping and reverencing evil deities in what we do. his favor is over you. You want to bring your children into the world in an obedient way too, not through sexual perversion. You want to bring your children into the world by having the way you become one flesh with your wife or husband, to be in a way that pleases God, right? Not in a way that worships demons or brings evil spirits into your life. So I just wanted to break that down. Now, the example that I'm going to share when it comes to this, that relates to a man losing, like when he releases his seed and he feels life come out of him, because that's what's going on. I'm going to go to Luke chapter 8, verse 43 through 48. All right. Luke chapter 8, verse 43 through 48. Luke chapter 8, verse 43 through 48. And a woman having an issue of blood 12 years, which had spent all her living upon physicians, neither could be healed of any, came behind him and touched the border of his garment. So she touched Yeshua's garment. And immediately her issue of blood stanched. And Jesus said, "Who touched me?" When all denied, Peter and they that were with him said, "Master, the multitude throng thee and press thee, and sayest thou, who touched me?" I just saying there's a whole bunch of people here, and you're asking me who touched you. How would I know? And Jesus said, "Somebody has touched me, for I perceive that virtue is gone out of me." When someone touched Yeshua, his spiritual strength was so high, he felt, and then someone was healed by touching him. He felt the virtue leave him. He felt that ability, that spiritual power leave him and go into that woman and deliver whatever was in her out of her. The same happens with a man when he releases. There's life that goes out of him and into the woman, and a beautiful spiritual process takes place. Verse 47. And when the woman saw that she was not hid, she came trembling and falling down before him. She declared unto him before all the people for what cause she had touched him, and how she was healed immediately. And he said unto her, "Daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace." So because she believed in Yeshua and believed in what he could do, he allowed her to be healed. And the virtue came out of him in that moment, and he felt it. Okay. All right, guys, we're getting closer to the end. But next we're going to go into Genesis 38, 6 through 10. And then what we read in Genesis is going to be supported by Jasher 46, 23 through 26. All right. So I'm going to pull up Genesis 38 first. Genesis 38. How y'all liking the stream so far? How y'all liking the topic? Are you getting something from this? Let me hear it. Let me hear y'all. That's interesting. Never thought of it that way. Candace, you never thought of what that way? You talking about the life coming out of a man, or which part were you responding to? All right, Genesis 38, 6 through 10. Virtue leaving Yeshua. Yep, virtue leaving Yeshua. Absolutely. Guys, go ahead and like the stream too. Show love to the stream. Genesis 38, 6 through 10. Genesis 38, 6 through 10. So we're going to see what God did when there was a man who wasted his seed. What did God do when there was a man that wasted his seed? Genesis 38, 6 through 10. And Judah took a wife of his firstborn. Took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. Now, right here, it doesn't say why was wicked in the sight of the Lord. Shabbat shalom, absolutely, Shabbat shalom. For those who don't know, the Sabbath is Friday night into Saturday night. Today is the Sabbath, and we're glorifying God right now. All praise to the Most High. And Judah said unto, oh, I'm sorry. So in verse 7, it doesn't say what made Er wicked, why he was killed, right, by the Most High. But we're going to have that expounded upon in the book of Jasher, because then this will drive the point home a little more clearly. Okay. And Er, Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And Judah said unto Onan, go in unto thy brother's wife. So Onan is Er's brother. So now God's telling, Judah, who's their father, is telling Onan to go into his brother's wife because his brother has just been killed by God. And Judah said unto Onan, go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed would not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground. He spilled his seed on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. So God killed him also for what? For wasting his seed. Now let's see why Er, the first brother, was killed. It just says that he was wicked in the Bible, right? But let's go into the book of Jasher. And for those who don't know, the book of Jasher is mentioned in the Bible in 2 Samuel chapter 1, verse 18, and 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 8, as well as Joshua chapter 10, verse 13. So the book of Jasher is a biblical book. We're going into the book of Jasher. I don't know if y'all can see because of the glare. The book of Jasher, chapter 46, verse 23 through 26. Chapter 46, verse 23 through 26. Jasher chapter 46, verse 23 through 26. Jasher 46, verse 23 through 26. And in those days, Judah went to the house of Shem and took Tamar, the daughter of Elam, the son of Shem, for a wife for his firstborn heir. So Judah brings a wife to his firstborn heir, right? And Er came to his wife Tamar, and she became his wife. And when he came to her, he outwardly destroyed his seed, which is what we call pulling out nowadays. He outwardly destroyed his seed, and his work was evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And it was after the death of Er, Judah's firstborn, that Judah said unto Onan, go to thy brother's wife, and marry her as the next of kin, and raise up seed to thy brother. And Onan took Tamar for a wife, and he came to her. And Onan also did like unto the work of his brother, and his work was evil in the sight of the Lord, and he slew him also. So now we have that biblical account expounded upon, and we see that both brothers did the same thing. So essentially they prostituted that woman that was supposed to be their wife. They didn't give her seed, right? What did Leah say, right? I was given my hire, right? God says not to neglect a woman's duty in marriage. Part of her duty is to produce seed for the man and the woman to be fruitful and multiply. So when God says don't neglect her duty of marriage or pretty much hold her back from her duty of marriage, yes, there's a lot of things in that duty. There's multiple things that a wife can bring forth for a husband and support a husband with and should do, just like the husband has things he should do. But in that way, we could be neglecting the wife of her spiritual duty, which is to help that man bring forth seed in the earth. That is what a huge part of what marriage is all about. So in this world, we've been taught different things. And look at how when we remove the purpose of sex, right, which is when two become one flesh, that's marriage, right? You obviously make a covenant before the Most High. You ask God to bless that union, but God brought it together in the first place, right? What God brings together, let no man separate. So when you're doing this, you are performing marriage. You are, coming together with who the Most High brought you with or gave to you. So the way to honor that is to do what the Most High said to do in those scenarios, which is to be fruitful and multiply, right? So we shouldn't be wasting seed. Okay. So the last thing I'll get into is Job chapter 31, verse 1 through 12. And going back to the main topic, right? Going to the main point of the live stream is when we're not understanding these things, we're performing in lustful acts. We're bringing judgments upon us. We're having a reproach put on us by the Most High because we're doing things that we think are harmless. We're also not training our eye. We have to train our eye not to be lustful, right? Just like anything that you do biblically, you have to practice, right? So let's say I want to get better at holding my tongue, right? Because a wise man holds his tongue, as the Bible says. When you're in conversation, you're going to feel that impulse to jump into the conversation, to cut somebody off because you've done it umpteen times before the Most High revealed this to you, that you should be more disciplined in your tongue. So you have to make an intentional effort to be successful at that. When it comes to the spirit of lust and lustful deeds and acts, sexual perversions and acts, things that are sin that are against the Most High, you're going to have natural impulses. You're going to have ways that your eyes wander. You're going to have ways that you go into the world, meaning your approach to the world when you go out. But you have to train and practice to keep your eyes single, and not have a desire for any of the things that I mentioned that would be a form of sexual perversion, a form of lust, a form of doing a sexual act that is against the Most High God, right? So with that being said, I'm going to read Job 31, verse 1 through 12. Job 31, verse 1 through 12. Job 31, 1 through 12. What are you guys getting most from this live stream? Let me know. What are you guys getting most? What's some things that are standing out to you? Okay, Job 31, verse 1 through 12. I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? So Job made a covenant with his eyes. He made an agreement and said, I'm going to train my eye a certain way when I go out into the world, when I'm living my life, right? I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? For what portion of God is there from above, and what inheritance of the Almighty from on high? Is not destruction to the wicked and a strange punishment to the workers of iniquity? Does not he see my ways and count all my steps? If I have walked with vanity, or if my foot has hasted to deceit, let me be weighed in an even balance, that God may know mine integrity. If my step has turned out of the way, and mine heart walked after mine eyes, and if any blot has cleaved to my hands, then let me sow, and let another eat. Yea, let my offspring be rooted out. So Job is saying, if I did things against the Most High, let me be judged, because a righteous man wants correction, right? It says a wise man will thank you for correcting him, but a fool will resent you. So Job is saying, God, I want to be so devoted to you and be obedient to you in the way that if I am wrong, let me know I'm wrong. And I deserve to be judged if I do something that is against you, right? Verse 9, if mine heart have been deceived by a woman, or if I have laid wait at my neighbor's door, then let my wife grind unto another, and let others bow down upon her. So if I became lustful and I committed adultery by laying with another man's wife, let my wife be taken. Let a bunch of men deal with my wife, right? Verse 11, for this is an heinous crime, yea, it is an iniquity to be punished by the judges. For it is a fire that consumeth to destruction, and would root out all mine increase. So that pretty much, again, highlights how important it is to have a single eye, right? Yeshua said that if your eye is single and it's light, how great is that light? If your eye is single and it's darkness, how great is that darkness? Our eye represents our perspective, our intention, how we see the world. It's really essentially the mind's eye, right? So based on the condition of the spirit of your mind determines what your eye sees. It determines the nature of your eye, what your intentions are. And if we can make our eyes single for the sake of righteousness, we'll have God's favor in our life. If we're obedient, we will see the ways that he shows that he's pleased with it. If we're disobedient and our eye is single and it's darkness, we'll also see the judgment for that. We could be dealing with misfortune in our life and not know that it's connected to certain things that utterly displease the Most High. But if we know better, we can do better. So hopefully this live stream edified you. Hopefully it blessed you. If it did, please share it with someone else. Comment anything that stood out to you. Like the live stream. I appreciate y'all for watching. I'll talk to y'all next time. Freedom and truth.